I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. We're looking at rain, wind, and snow making a return to northern and central, even southern California. Big shift from our dry stretch that we've seen largely since the beginning of January. Now, I want to break it down into two separate storms that are kind of opening things up with our weather impact alert. The first of which begins on Tuesday, lasts through Wednesday. For the valley, it's mainly just a shift to rainy weather. That means grab the umbrella, things like that. For the Sierra, though, we're going to see bigger travel impacts and lowering snow level below the passes. That means chaining up early and big delays over the high country. For Saturday into early next week, that's going to be weather impact alert number 2. This is going to include heavier rain, slick roads, colder temperatures, very low snow in the Sierra. We're talking in some pockets down to about 3,000 feet with big travel delays. You might remember, not only is it Valentine's Day, but also a 3-day weekend with President's Day around the corner. So our pre-storm checklist, put away those outdoor items. Again, grab the umbrella as well and any rain gear you might need. Check scheduled events. A lot of those spring activities have already started and are underway. Avoid travel if possible, especially for the Sierra, where we expect big delays due to chaining up, spin outs likely, and just a lot of volume heading up into the high country. And then keep watching for those updates as well. This is going to be a weather system that we're going to continue to fine tune, especially for the weekend outlook. For the short-term forecast, we're pretty secure in our higher confidence what's going to be happening here. Winter weather advisory in place 10 p.m. Monday through 4 p.m. Wednesday, 4 to 18 inches of snow, and expect travel delays in the high country. We have that winter storm warning a little farther to the south where we expect some of the bigger impacts to actually land. A big plume of moisture sitting off the coast, but there is so much going on in the Pacific. And finally, our storm track is favoring bringing that into California. It's largely been moving up to the north for the past several weeks, and so finally it's starting to shift its way southward. This is how things unfold for our Tuesday. As you can see, the morning commute not really having to deal with much in the way of impacts. A little bit of low cloudiness, a few flurries overnight for the Sierra, but things really start to develop during the afternoon. So if you're headed out for the morning commute, make sure you have that umbrella, because when you're heading back home, this is what we're going to be dealing with for schools as well. You know, the pickup, you drop the kids off and you don't have the rain gear, and all of a sudden they're running out trying to dodge all the rain. So that's what we're going to be looking at for the afternoon. Snow again for the Sierra. This isn't the bigger of the two storms. That comes later in the forecast. This continues though into our Wednesday forecast, still pulling in those southwest winds, gusty at times, but overall wind isn't so much of a factor with this initial storm. Again, that's with the bigger one this weekend. Rain will continue for the morning commute in the valley. Snow up in the Sierra as well. We'll see another band ripple on through for the evening commute, and that's why we're really calling for that weather impact alert Tuesday into Wednesday. It's just a shift in our weather pattern. Total accumulation is going to be a little bit on the lighter side, roughly about a ½ inch to up to an inch in parts of the valley, and about a ½ inch to an inch as well throughout the foothills. But that snow line is going to be anywhere from about 6,500 to 6,000 feet. So we'll see the colder air working its way in with total accumulation anywhere from 1 to 10 inches through the Tahoe Basin. A little bit farther to the south, we're going to get into some of those higher totals, upwards of 10 plus inches. Now, we definitely need the snow. We have dropped well below where we should be this time of year. We really started off quite well, especially with those December and January storms. That boosted us above pace, but then everything dried out, and that puts us at a deficit here. January, February, 2 of our wettest months out of the entire year. And so these February storms certainly are going to do a great job just boosting these numbers here. Statewide average to date is right around 50%. So again, looking forward to boosting that snowpack. Timing might not be ideal based on the 3-day weekend, but again, we take what we can get at this point. Here's a look at the rainy season. Average rainfall, you'll note right here. This is what I was talking about. December, January, and February. This is where we really put things in the bank. And October, November started off really good. We were well ahead of average, putting many people in a big plus category, and then everything dried out. So December, January, 2 of our wettest months, just fizzled out. February, still plenty of time to catch up here. 3.5 inches, about where we should be for Sacramento rainfall on average. The other part of this is the equation of water supply. And in that category, we're going to put it in a big plus because we're well ahead of average. We still have plenty in the tank here from Folsom, which is a smaller reservoir. It serves most of the metropolitan Sacramento area. 54% of capacity there, but Trinity, Shasta, two of our bigger reservoirs, as well as Oroville, running about 85% of capacity right now. Heading into the Central Sierra and the Central Valley, you can see some of those reservoirs also doing quite well right now, anywhere from about 83% full and ahead of average as well. Even Millerton, which hasn't necessarily had the benefit of some of those bigger snow events and rain, still ahead of average and about 60% full. So again, as far as our water supply, things are in pretty good shape. Building our water year, this is all part of the bigger picture here. You know, the rain starts, and like I said, October, November, it was a great start to our water year. But where we pick up 50% of our annual precipitation is where we're falling short. A little bit of cause for concern, but given that we had 3 previous wettish years, not necessarily the wettest on record, we had enough of a supply and buffer going into this year, so we really didn't have to be too concerned about a dry December and January. February, be nice to pick some things up because by the end of March, we reach that peak snowpack and we begin that peak snow melt where we get into the water at its highest demand. We really need to have everything we can in those reservoirs at that point. Here's a look at the weather timeline just to kind of regroup where we are for this week as things start to shift back to a more active storm track. Tuesday, Wednesday, weather impact alert days. It's mainly valley showers periodically, lowering snow level and Sierra snow lingering into our Wednesday. Just once again, going to have those travel delays. Thursday, Friday, nice big break here from the showers. It will be great timing Friday if you're headed out early for that 3-day weekend. But be prepared for what's on the backside of that because we get right back into a weather impact alert for the weekend, including widespread rain and Sierra snow that will be heavy at times and very low in elevation. We are expecting this big cold plunge of air coming on through. At times that snow level is looking like it's going to go down to about 3,000 feet. Anybody that's traveled up to the Sierra knows when we have snow that low, it is just painstaking to head up and down the hill because of chain controls and spin outs and people having to go slower because of how long they're dealing with the snow to get up over the passes. Likely wetter scenario also in place through much of the middle of February. So that puts us into this 8 to 14 day weather hazards outlook coming from the Weather Prediction Center. And as you can see, the precipitation risk is running in the slight to moderate range all up and down the coast. So even into Southern California, stretching to the California-Oregon border, we are expecting multiple systems to bring us that higher risk of precipitation, potentially some flood risk, but we'll have to wait until successive storms come through. And then for our heavy snow risk, you can see we're going to be in that moderate range throughout the Sierra Spine and parts of the coastal range as well. Certainly something to watch for all the travel as this big plume of moisture taps into several low pressure systems diving out of the Gulf of Alaska and parts of the Pacific, kind of connecting with that big moisture plume. So the first one begins Tuesday, takes us through our Wednesday forecast. The first kind of reminder that it is winter because we've been sitting in this spring-like weather most recently. High pressure ridge briefly builds in Thursday, Friday, and then this is the next weather system that we're looking at for the weekend outlook, and it kind of opens the door for more systems to come through into next week. It's a big one. It lingers, it looks like right now, but that's the one we need to continue to fine tune. Short-term forecast, temperatures near 40 and upper 30s for the Tahoe Basin for our Tuesday. Down the hill, we're in the 50s to right around 60. Taking it to the coast after a gorgeous Super Bowl weekend. It was so nice to host everybody over in San Jose near Santa Clara there for the Super Bowl. Temperatures are starting to fall back into the 50s. We're expecting rain to develop throughout the day as well. Now, capital region through the northern San Joaquin Valley, highs are going to reach the upper 50s to right around 60. This is going to be a little bit, if not slightly below average for the downtown area, but then in the northern San Joaquin Valley, kind of holding on to just a touch of that warmth before we start to see temperatures dive once again. We'll see that play out in the mountains, highs in the 30s and 40s, dry Thursday and Friday, but there you get a hint of what's ahead for the weekend. More rain and snow develops. That is true as well for the foothills. Highs are going to be much cooler. We were near 70 for most of last week. And then for the coast, again, rain Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll watch for the rain to redevelop over the weekend. Weather impact alert Tuesday and Wednesday, dry Thursday and Friday. Another time to kind of regroup and get some things cleaned up before we head into another very active weather pattern over the weekend and into next week as well.